This World Cup has been hard to watch in America considering how early these games are broadcast. But in case you missed it, we had a huge upset when a team with 10 active NBA players lost to a team without one. And it's worth going through the key moments to figure out what happened to allow this scrappy team from Brazil to outlast the Colossuses, from Canada. When you have a severe advantage physically and skill-wise over the other team, the one thing you don't want to do is give them any hope that they can compete. However, early in the game, Brazil jumped out to a lead that shifted their mindset and propelled them into a dogfight for the whole match. It started when Powell slips this ball screen and has an open dunk until Caboclo erases it at the rim. Plays like this speak volumes, and we get to the other side where the Brazilians run a nice little dribble handoff out of the post. RJ Barrett is caught on the high side, Kelly Olynyk goes for the little shot fake, and the roll turns into a layup. Iago Santos killed them all game long with the pick and roll, and you can see they want to attack Dwight Powell, and there's no way he can shuffle backwards fast enough to defend Caboclo, who's sprinting, which means Shea is supposed to bump down. That doesn't happen, and a dunk here makes a bigger statement than just 2 points. With both Powell and Olynyk out there, the Brazilians have their pick who they want to attack in the pick and roll. Why not involve them both? Mindel doesn't get by Powell, but I love the split spin move. Despite the hop on the right foot, he didn't end the dribble until the second time the foot plants, so it's legal, and the foul occurs with illegal contact by Powell's body into Mindel's body. The contact from the elbow is incidental, as the offensive player is simply completing his move to shoot the layup. But this began a campaign of complaining to the refs by Team Canada that did not serve them well. But they were able to get solid control of this game into the second quarter en route to what would have normally been an easy win. The long rebound gets tapped to Dylan Brooks, and they run a little blind pig action. Remember this for later, as Powell gets the high post pass and SGA cuts behind him for the handoff, leading to a gorgeous three-pointer. Putting the team on his back, SGA wants to end this early. Another ball screen for him gets him downhill. Nice inside-out dribble into a stop with the left foot pivot. Remember, the right foot can step as many times as he likes before the nice step through into a finger roll for a 10-point lead. And when below-average three-point shooter Lou Dort hits a three from 5 feet behind the arc towards the end of the third, you had to figure this game was about to be decided. For an exclamation, Gilgeous-Alexander gets the switch and mismatch on the perimeter, likes what he sees, and decides to take a tough step-back three. This one goes in, but it might have been a bad omen for later in the game. When Dort didn't get a call on an obvious foul on the putback, it not only led us into the next possession, where they quickly forced Olynyk onto a quicker ball handler in Iago Santos, but as the clock winds down, it is smart to double the ball as there isn't enough time to pass out and find a shot. But it's the triple team that dooms them. SGA can't get there in time, and Brazil not only swishes the three at the buzzer, but Dort complained strongly enough about the non-call on the other end that the ref gave him a costly technical that turned this into a 4-point play. Momentum is everything in these games that involve national pride, and if you want to witness this live and in person, then you must get SeatGeek, the best app to find tickets to any sporting event, concert, or the theater. With just a few taps, SeatGeek will scour the internet for the best deals out there, giving them a grade so you know what kind of value you're getting. They're rated #1 on Trustpilot amongst all major ticketers, so you can feel secure that your tickets are legit. Best of all, you can save $20 off your first purchase by using my code BBALL. So head over to SeatGeek now, and you can enjoy all your favorite NBA teams live and in person. In the fourth, we see Brazil's main game plan play out perfectly. Setting the screen with Olynyk's man forces a switch, they clear out, and Olynyk's original man can seal off a much smaller defender for an easy putback. And you got the feeling something was up when Nickeil Alexander-Walker misses an uncontested off-foot reverse. In fact, for the game, he shot an ugly 1 for 9 with 8 of those shots open three-pointers, but just check how off he was on these shots. Yikes! The offense for Canada had moments of good execution, but then they had possessions like this. This is a ghost screen to lure Olynyk's man to help on the ball handler and get him a catch in space. I love how he tags on the catch. But what is RJ Barrett doing cutting through the lane on that side? This just brings his defender to the ball to strip it into a turnover. In order to keep Olynyk away from defending the pick and roll, you can see Dort get in position to pick up whoever screens the ball. Brazil wisely cuts the screener away to make Olynyk guard him, and then they catch Dort too far out of position one pass away as Diaz gets a good look. When you see how crazy this roll is, though, you have to imagine the basketball gods were looking down favorably upon Brazil. SGA decides to put the team on his back again, and that's a good idea considering how well it worked in the second quarter. He hits Brazil with a 12-dribble ISO into a quick jump floater and one. What caught the defender off guard was gathering the ball at the same time he lifts off the ground with the right foot for a right-handed shot. SGA is a master at this. There's confusion from Canada between Powell and Brooks. It's clear they want Brooks to take whoever is setting the ball screen to keep Powell away from that action. But Powell doesn't move. One of the assistants gets off the bench to yell it out but realizes it's too late. And Brazil gets what they want as Powell fouls out when he can't keep up with the ultra-quick Iago. Now they're locked in a battle with an underdog that believes they can compete. And while we saw SGA hit a nice step-back three earlier, this is a different shot with the score tied and under 4 minutes to go in the game, and he's way off as it slams off the backboard long. With the score tied, Shea tries to attack the big and initiates the contact. This really shouldn't have been a foul on the defender, who is in legal guarding position, but perhaps the complaining to the refs had an effect. And yet we see Dort complaining anyway, even though they got the call. The head coach for Canada had this exchange late in the game, and it's worth analyzing for a second.
3 guys fouled, and we got this set. He's not supposed to complain. You're right. And probably what he said it was wrong. But you guys gotta be better. I felt like it was not.
Okay. I will take this as the final conversation, as the word you used to me. Okay?
What I used to
It will be the final conversation.
The first part was great, as he acknowledged that what his guys said to the referees shouldn't have been said. But once he says, "You guys gotta be better," that simply shuts down the conversation. It's borderline disrespectful, especially considering the refs did a good job on this game, and the coach has to think twice before saying anything to the ref after this for fear of getting a technical foul. This is a situation you never want to be in as a coach. But Shea continues to be the man. Not sure why Brazil doesn't double team considering how poorly Canada shot from the three-point line, and his beautiful step-back midi gives them a 2-point lead. With Powell fouled out, they also take Olynyk out and go very small. They do a good job to contain and lure contested off the dribble three, but watch how Melvin Ejim tries to box out Caboclo. Instead of just going after the ball like he should, he's turned away from the basket, both hands wrapped around Caboclo, so of course he's not in position to grab the darn ball. Now, they waste little time in finding that mismatch against a small team, and Caboclo isn't messing around. Just a basic drop step and bank shot ties the game with 2.5 left. One of my favorite actions is the fake handoff and drive, but you gotta actually ball fake to get your man out of position. Barrett doesn't do that part, so he doesn't have a real advantage. That said, he still gets the little 8-foot hook off, but blows the finish. This was an interesting baseline out of bounds. What looks like a screen for Dort to the corner quickly becomes a screen for Olynyk. Caboclo stays connected, Olynyk drives into a second defender, and in his attempt to initiate contact, which doesn't happen, he airballs the layup. There's contact by a defender who's trying to maintain verticality on Olynyk's offhand wrist. Perhaps because the left hand wasn't touching the ball the moment of contact, they didn't blow the whistle. Fascinatingly, the refs ruled Brazil had possession here before losing it out of bounds, so Canada gets it again with 14 seconds on the clock. With their do-over, I have no idea why this isn't a shooting foul here. That's a lot of contact. And the putback had tons of contact as well, but at the very least, Canada does get what they deserve, free throws. But Dort chokes the first one and can only tie the game. Brazil again turns the reins over to Iago, only this time there is no Powell or Olynyk to attack, so the double ball screen gets them Dylan Brooks. Notice how Caboclo ducks in on the drive, clearing out the help defense, but I'm not sure it would have mattered as Iago turns this into a little fadeaway floater for the lead. Iago's a strong dude. Watch how Brooks bounces off of him through his contact with both of his hands on the ball. Remember that step back SGA hit earlier? Well, he went to that well again, but this is another entirely different shot with a lot more pressure on a low percentage attempt, down 2 with a minute left, and it's way off. But because of the weird bounce, they get another chance, and he makes a much better decision on the reload. Nice spin movement in the middle collapses the defense, but his pass was off target, taking away a chance for Dort to continue his good shooting. The driving kick finds an opening, but Brooks slid one step too far to his left. Dort had a very narrow window to throw it to, which takes away another open three, The clock winds down and expires before Dort can get this one off, and it proved incredibly costly. Remembering how well it worked against Brooks the last time, they again attack him, but why is he trying to defend a hyper-quick guard by stepping up to almost half court and then reaching in? Caboclo's a seasoned vet, and his quote-unquote post-up in the lane prevents SGA from rotating to help. He did this earlier, so he certainly could have blocked this one, and Yago all but ices the game with the layup. Coach Jody Fernandez drew up a real beauty in the huddle, making sure to tell Olynyk to get open for the catch, knowing the blind pig action would be open, and make no mistake, this action is always designed for the cutter to sneak in behind the catch. Instead, Gilgeous-Alexander decides to do a V-cut, Olynyk throws it anyway, and credit them for getting it back, but Dort gets stuck amongst the trees and cannot get this shot close to the basket. And, to put the cherry on top of a poor performance by Canada and smart play by Brazil, Brooks defends this pin down as if there's an automatic switch by SGA. However, SGA didn't get that memo, and the inbounder had this pass for a layup, but no matter. On the weak side, Barrett is in terrible position this far from the ball. He should never be tied up like this, leading to the nice backdoor cut and feed and layup, and this game is over. With the crucial loss, Canada won't even make the quarterfinals if they can't beat Spain tomorrow, and that's going to be very difficult. And if they can't beat Spain, their hopes at making the Olympics next year are also in jeopardy. And you imagine they'll have to get Jamal Murray on the court for the Olympic qualifier under extreme pressure to win. Meanwhile, this scrappy Brazil team gave us a real treat, especially because they had a good game plan, were well prepared, and executed it to perfection.